I'm Captain Untamed Oracle. I'm going to get into the Great Deception, how God's plan became the ultimate soul trap. Now, just starting off with the topic, let me just let you know now, this is probably not a version of information that you have heard before. This is based on my own experiences. And I'm someone, if you are new to me, I had 2 near-death experiences, and it shaped the way that I see things forever, for the rest of my life. So let's talk about the unfortunately saddest thing that I have discovered in my own unbiased research for the hidden truth about what's keeping us in a timeline where war is normalized. Is the role of paying tithes playing a role in the price of wars? You gotta follow the money. The message is being preached every Sunday about how glorious it is to suffer for God because his own son suffered. I'm pretty sure you've heard this before. Each time end times is mentioned, the predictive programming described as prophecy becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. People are less likely to change how they face problems when they are waiting on someone to come and fix it all. People are less likely to be a part of change if they're waiting on someone to come and fix it. So let's talk about the power of collective beliefs. Okay? Now, between the wars, the famine, all of the things happening, you have to wonder what's really happening underneath all of this. When people have really deep convictions, it becomes an emotional anchor for reality to mirror those convictions. And because billions of people believe something to be true, of course it's going to keep happening. So many people have been deceived into believing that these destructive things have to happen in order for God to help us. When a large amount of people see blood sacrifice of an innocent man as a reason that they are safe, bloodshed will continue to happen because the very act of being unalive is seen as God's plan. Famine. God's plan is to poison the water. And then we're hearing about these water issues. Scarcity with food. That's God's plan because they said that a famine was going to come. It becomes a license to allow atrocities to happen. Obeying the laws of the land, even if the laws are being manipulated to strip away rights from a group of people who have already been depressed, who have already been oppressed, who are already deeply wounded and marginalized, is considered to be God's plan. Every single narrative in the world is permissible because consent is being given by billions of people, because it is considered to be God's plan. Now, the next part of this is the paralysis that these prophecies actually create. I need y'all to really hear me when I say this. These things paralyze people who could actually make a change for the better if they were able to see the truth behind the multi-generational mind manipulation. To take the mind of Christ and allow the body to be overtaken and filled by a spirit outside of you actually sounds like possession or mounting. But if this is God's plan, it's okay. Refusing to allow children to be honest about their beliefs and ask questions is frowned upon. So kids grow up without knowing the importance of giving consent, because if it's God's plan, I can't question it. Consent is the architecture of our reality. One group believes that the more destruction that happens, the sooner a Messiah will come and help us. Another group accepts the violence happening against them because it's God's plan. One group uses divination to keep large masses of people trapped in an unnatural soul cycle, harvesting their energy, while the other group is deeply afraid of seeking clarity on the unseen spiritual realm through divination because it wasn't approved by God's plans. Do you see how they set this up to keep people in the dark? Now, here's the divination double standard. That was one of the first things that I realized. Imagine a starry sky, and you have three men, and these three men are magi's or magicians. And God himself sent these three magicians to find Jesus by mapping out the cosmos to find the star of Bethlehem. That's divination. That is astrology. The same group of people that believe it's okay for a young woman who is about to be married, impregnated without her consent by a spirit and almost being stoned to death, also believe that that was God's plan. No, whenever consent is given for a certain amount of actions, the same energy will flow through those communities of those who believes it is okay for this to be happening, which means they become unconscious in permitting abuse of women. This is consent through belief, which structures reality. The power of consent through beliefs is the structure of our current reality. And this is the reason why we're on a timeline where wars are continually happening. One of the things that must be done is that we must revoke consent. Okay? And here's some simple words that can be used to do that. Hand on the heart. As more people become aware of the consequences of accepting something that is diabolical as holy, because it's in God's plan, the world will become a safer place. Anchored in the frequency of love and truth versus compliance and consent of war and abuse that has been disguised as God's plan. You have the power to revoke your consent, not just for yourself, for your lineage, for the collective. You can revoke the contract. You can reclaim your soul's essence. Every time you bow your head and accept suffering as God's will, you are voting for the continuation of the nightmare we are living in. Every time you question, is this truly divine or is this a spell? You are actually breaking the spell over you. You don't have to wait for a Messiah to come to save you. You are the Messiah that the world is waiting for, not as the Savior of the world, but as the sovereign of your own soul. Because our souls collectively hold a lot of power. Now, simple revocations you can create on your own. But if you would like to do this now, this is what you can say. Out loud, not really as a prayer, but a decree. As a sovereign soul reclaiming my inheritance, I decree that I remove consent. I revoke my consent to the narrative of suffering as holiness. I revoke my consent of destruction as divine destiny. I revoke consent that war, famine, and abuse and oppression are God's plan. I revoke my consent of harvesting my grief, my shame, and my fear, my life force through religion. I revoke consent of forced reincarnation cycles. I revoke consent of the idea of an external savior. I am sovereign of my own soul. My voice is my spell. The architecture will be created by truth, love, and liberation. So shall it be. I am free. Ashe. Now, if I went too fast, you can slow this down and replay it. You can write it down and read it. Or you can just simply listen with your heart. To speak it is one thing, but to live it is to break the cycle for the next generation. The world will change when enough people revoke their consent to this nightmare. You are not powerless. You are the one they feared that would wake up. You are awake. Now it's time for you to act like you know what you know. People may get crispy and extra crispy with you when you start walking in what you truly believe in because your beliefs may not be exactly aligned with theirs, and that's okay. So I have dowsing rods for sale that are really good to use for divination, to ask yes and no questions. I also have an album for subconscious reprogramming using frequencies which restructure us. We're made up of over 70% water. This helps to restructure the energy within the body. I have a coven for women that is open right now. I also have Patreon open where I have much deeper decodings on this information. And on my website, I have ebooks that are available and even freebies that are available on the website. So if any of those things resonate with you, tap in. And I hope that I was able to maybe give words to something that you haven't completely been able to have the words to be able to embody. All right, y'all. Peace.
Yeah. Higher, I take you higher.